Smoke eats the horizon. Metal screams. A shattered lane of trees whispers like broken teeth. On the ridge, two shadows face off. One is a German tiger, heavy and black as an accusation. The other is a Soviet T-34, low and mean, moving like hunger. Inside the tiger, a man wipes soot from his goggles. He is precise. He counts shots like prayers. Across the field, the T-34's driver breathes through a cracked mask. He laughs quietly, then checks his gauges. Both know the math of survival. Both know death hides in the roar. A shell rips the air. Dirt blooms. The world narrows to crosshairs and throttle. This fight is not about strategy. It is about two crews and one ridge. It will become legend, or it will become a lie. So what made this the deadliest duel of the war? What truth did both sides bury? The year is 1943. The Eastern Front burns from Poland to the Volga. Fields, once green, now drown in smoke and shattered steel. Every dawn begins with the same sound, treads grinding, guns charging, men praying under their breath. The war has become a machine that eats everything. The German army, stretched thin and bleeding, still clings to the myth of invincibility. Its weapon of choice, the Tiger wins, a fortress on tracks. 70 tons of fear, armed with an 88mm gun that could shred a tank before it ever got close. Commanding one of them is Otto Carius. 20 years old, eyes like cold water. He's seen too many fields vanish in flame. He doesn't speak much. He doesn't need to. Every order he gives is clipped perfect final. To his crew, he's not just a soldier. He's gravity. Across the lines, the Soviet army crawls west. Among them, Dmitry Lavrinenko, or a man like him. Quick, instinctive, built for chaos. His T-34 is lighter, faster, and half the armor of a tiger, but he knows speed can kill. The Soviets have learned to strike first or die quiet. For months, both men survive skirmishes that erase whole platoons. Winter takes as many as bullets. Fuel runs thin. Tanks freeze in place. Entire crews burn alive inside machines meant to protect them. Still, both armies push on. Kursk-Prohorovka, Orel, names that mean nothing to civilians, but everything to the men buried under them. Then, one night, German scouts report Soviet armor massing near a nameless ridge east of Kursk. Orders drop fast. Carius and his crew roll out under a sky full of tracer fire. At the same hour, Lavrinenko's unit gets new instructions. Cut off the German advance before dawn. His tank leads the charge. Neither knows the other is coming. Neither knows they're driving toward the same hill. As dawn breaks, fog thick as ash hugs the ground. The first shot of the day echoes from somewhere unseen. The Tiger halts. The T-34 turns. For a moment, there's silence. Then two silhouettes lock eyes through the haze. The deadliest tank duel in World War II has just begun. When the smoke cleared, the field looked like the mouth of hell. 2 tanks burned. Dozens of men were gone. But within hours, both sides claimed victory. German radio reported that Otto Carius's Tiger had destroyed 5 Soviet tanks in a single engagement. The story spread fast. Newspapers called it a masterpiece of armored warfare. Carius became a symbol of German precision and courage. His name printed beside glossy photos of burning Soviet steel. But Soviet communique told a different story. According to Red Army reports, a brave T-34 commander led an ambush that destroyed a Tiger before sacrificing his own tank. They said it was proof that Soviet design and bravery could shatter the myth of German superiority. Both stories couldn't be true. For years, no one asked questions. Both nations needed heroes. The war was still raging. Propaganda mattered more than facts. Then came the first cracks. Post-war interviews with surviving German crew members didn't line up with the official version. One claimed their Tiger was hit from an unexpected angle, not by the Soviet tank they thought they were fighting. Another mentioned radio silence, orders never received, signals lost. A historian digging through the Bundesarchiv decades later found something odd. A missing page from the day's action report. The field log skipped 1 hour, the exact hour of the duel. When cross-checked against Soviet archives, the coordinates didn't match either. The German record placed the fight near a ridge, the Soviet one near a swamp several kilometers away. Even the wreckage photos didn't match. The Tiger in the images had mismatched serial numbers, half from Carius's unit, half from another destroyed weeks earlier. So what really happened? Some experts suggest the Tiger was destroyed by friendly fire, mistaken for a Soviet tank in the fog and chaos. Others argue that the Germans covered it up to preserve morale. Losing a Tiger to a T-34 didn't fit the story of German invincibility. Soviet officials did the same. They needed victory tales to rally troops. The T-34 commander's name, they said, was never recorded because he died heroically. But no burial records exist. No family ever claimed his body. By the 1970s, researchers called the duel a fabricated myth. Yet the veterans who fought nearby swore they saw both tanks burn. One old infantryman told a journalist, "They shot each other at the same time. Both went up." Nobody won that day. Still, no documents proved it. No battlefield evidence matched any report. Just conflicting stories, blurred photos, and silence. And somewhere in that silence, the truth waited, buried under 40 years of lies, smoke, and pride. Summer, decades later. The fields east of Kursk are quiet now. Wheat waves over the same soil where fire once ruled. A team of historians walks the ridge, carrying metal detectors and faded maps. Their goal, find proof of the duel that history can't agree on. Hours pass. The machines hum. Then, a sharp tone cuts through the wind. They dig. Beneath the dirt, they uncover a shard of steel the size of a hand. Burnt, bent, and unmistakably German. The edge still carries the gray paint used on Tigers in 1943. Further down, the outline of a turret emerges. Numbers etched along its base. 231, but scratched out. A replacement serial beneath 213, both registered to different Tigers in different units. Something isn't right. 2 days later, they find the second wreck less than 80 meters away. It's a Soviet T-34, burned almost to the frame. The turret hatch welded shut by heat. Inside, the remains of 3 men still sitting where they fell. One has a watch stopped at 0617. The battlefield reconstruction begins. Shell impact patterns show the T-34 fired first. One hit to the Tiger's lower plate. Then the Tiger fired back, striking the T-34's side armor. Both shots fatal. Both tanks erupted within seconds. Forensic scans reveal something else. The Tiger's final shell was never logged in German records. The last radio message from Carius's crew ends mid-word. No distress call, no confirmation. Just silence. A historian reviewing fragments of audio from nearby units finds static-filled chatter. A voice shouts coordinates, then confusion. The phrase "hold your fire" repeats. Some believe another German tank fired the killing shot, mistaking the Tiger for a Soviet machine through the fog. The truth, buried for 80 years, surfaces in the dirt and ashes. Neither tank won. Neither tank fled. They killed each other within moments, locked in mutual destruction. The discovery shocks both German and Russian researchers. The duel that became legend wasn't a victory for anyone. It was a stalemate disguised as heroism. In a small museum in Kursk today, the 2 tank plates sit side by side, one stamped with a faded iron cross, the other with the Soviet star. No names, no flags, just silence. An old veteran visits once a year. He fought near that ridge. His hands tremble as he stares at the burnt metal. "They both died right," he whispers. "Quick, honest. Nobody lied that morning." The lies came after. The camera drifts upward over the field. The wheat sways again. Somewhere below, the 2 machines still sleep, locked in the same death they gave each other. The footage fades from rusted steel to faces. Experts speak softly, almost like they're in a church. They call it a perfect example of mechanical fate. 2 men, 2 machines, 1 instant where skill meant nothing. Military historian Anya Volkov leans over a table of photographs. She says the duel shows how tank crews lived and died inside metal coffins. They couldn't see more than a slit of the world, she explains. They breathed engine smoke, oil, and fear. When they fired, they couldn't hear their own screams. Psychologists studying Weibo letters find the same tone in both armies: fatigue, guilt, and a strange calm before death. One German gunner wrote, "We are not fighting men anymore. We are fighting ghosts made of steel." A Soviet driver scribbled in a notebook found decades later, "The tank moves, but I feel like I'm already dead." Inside those machines, ideology dissolved. No one thought about Hitler or Stalin when shells flew. They thought about air, heat, and the sound of metal buckling inches away. The duel near Kursk became a study in human fragility. Commanders on both sides turned it into myth because they needed something beautiful in the middle of horror. They needed proof that courage could still exist. But experts say that myth blinded generations to what the duel really meant. It wasn't glory. It was desperation. Engineers analyzing the wreck found that both tanks had tried to reload at the same time. That single second of overlap sealed their fate. If either had been faster by half a breath, the other might have lived. 1 second decided which side of history their names landed on. Modern military analysts use the duel to teach cadets how chance rules war. They talk about terrain, velocity, and timing, but end up circling the same question. Does skill even matter when chaos decides everything? The Tiger and T-34 changed how nations built tanks after 1943. More armor, more firepower, less humanity. Each improvement made the next war deadlier and colder. A Russian historian puts it best. "We learned everything about killing, but nothing about surviving." The duel stopped being a legend. It became a mirror, a reflection of how far men will go to prove they're right, even when they both end up buried in the same dirt. For half a century, the duel lived as legend. German veterans spoke of Otto Carius as the perfect commander. Soviet records praised an unnamed hero who destroyed the unstoppable Tiger. Both sides used the story to prove something, to justify loss, to sell hope, to build pride out of rubble. Every classroom film, every old photo, every military parade repeated the same myth. One man's skill decided a battle. One tank turned the tide. But when Soviet archives opened in the 1990s, the truth slipped out like a whisper. Historians compared battle logs, maps, and serial numbers. None of it matched. The victory stories were built from fragments, half-memories stitched together by politics and propaganda. One letter, found in a forgotten box in Minsk, broke the illusion. It was written by a Soviet tank mechanic who arrived at the ridge days later. He described 2 burned tanks facing each other nose to nose. "Both gone," he wrote. "Both brave, both forgotten." That image shattered decades of certainty. The duel wasn't about victory. It was about loss. 2 crews who never even knew each other turned into symbols for nations that needed heroes more than truth. For Germany, the Tiger's legend masked defeat. For the Soviets, the story of defiance softened the cost of war. Both built pride on ashes. Now, when historians stand on that ridge, there's no triumph. Just the hum of insects, the soft bend of grass, and the quiet knowledge that the myth was always heavier than the metal left behind. The truth didn't glorify anyone. It stripped everything down to what war really is: noise, fire, silence, and memory. Morning light breaks over the ridge. Mist curls above the ground, hiding the scars of old craters. A faint outline of twisted steel rests under the grass. Time has erased the tracks, but the ghosts still linger. For years, this place echoed with stories of glory. Now, it only holds silence. The duel that once filled propaganda reels is nothing more than rust and soil. No flags, no winners, just 2 machines locked forever in the same final stare. Tourists walk the field sometimes. They take photos, unaware that beneath their feet lie fragments of helmets, shells, and human breath that stopped 80 years ago. A single plaque stands near the edge of the ridge. It reads only, "Here fell men from both sides, fighting for skies that never cleared." The wind moves through the wheat, and the sound almost feels like engines starting again. In the end, history kept the legend alive because the truth hurt too much to face. But the truth still buried beneath Kursk may change everything we thought we knew.